We will now call the Beaufort County Board of Education agenda setting meeting of June 15, 2020 via remote video conferencing to order. We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda for the agenda setting meeting today.
All right, and I'll second it since Mr. Smith is not here, correct?
Correct.
All right, any discussion, Kathy?
No?
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The media has been properly notified. We need a motion to approve the June 1, 2020 committee meeting minutes.
I move we approve the June, what was the date? June 1 committee meeting minutes.
William has just entered.
All right.
Okay.
I don't see him on there.
It's by phone.
Oh, okay. I'll second it, and then we can have discussion. Mr.
Okay.
Smith, we're looking at the June 1, 2020 meeting minutes. Those are for discussion now.
Okay.
Do you have anything to add?
No, I have no objections on those minutes.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right. So all those in favor of approving the June 1, 2020 agenda setting meeting minutes, please raise, or please say yeah. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. All right. Now we're setting the June 23rd board meeting agenda. All right, so we have our usual comments there about how we take public comments. You can scroll down, Robin, to the executive session. These were the matters that we postponed postponed to this meeting from last meeting.
Dr. Frank asked me to add TCL on for executive session.
Okay.
It's under executive session already, right?
Yes.
Right, that's where I placed it.
Okay.
So knowing how our board discusses, Frank or Wendy, it seems like we'd need maybe more than an hour here. Hello.
Can you all hear?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Robin, I'm sorry, but on my screen, it's just saying the county channel. I can't see the agenda, but I could see all the participants. I don't know what I did. Sorry, I'm trying to see the agenda. Sorry, folks.
All right.
We've all had technical problems at some
Yes.
one
I
time
don't
or
know what's
another.
going on, so I just need to be able to see the agenda, that's all.
Do you want me to just read them to you?
Yeah, sorry.
So the executive session has 4 bullet points. 1, receipt of legal advice pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2 regarding TCL contractual matter, Roberts Fox.
Okay.
2, receipt of legal advice covered by the attorney-client privilege relating to pending legal claims and the resolution of a legal claim pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2.
Okay.
3rd, discussion of proposed BCSD contract with Riverview Charter School pursuant to SC Code Section 3470A2.
Okay.
And the 4th, discussion of proposed offer for sale of Bluffton property to BCSD pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 3470A2.
Okay. And we have 1 hour right now?
Yes.
I think it probably will, maybe we should allow an hour and a half.
That would be my, yeah, that's just
I
what
don't-
I'm thinking.
Dr.
Catherine,
Rodriguez
do that?
just joined us. And he's still muted. There you go.
Okay. Yes,
Hi, Dr. R.
good afternoon.
We're talking about the 4 items under executive session, and the thinking is that we should start the executive session at 4:30.
Okay,
And anybody opposed to that, i.e. Kathy or Will, are you opposed to that?
I was
No,
gonna say actually, so I was thinking, so basically we have the Beaufort property. Is there? I was thinking 4 o'clock. Hello?
Yeah.
I said I possibly was thinking maybe 4 o'clock, but y'all
And
think 4:30?
tell me, what's your thinking?
Because how long do we think Mr. Valkers is going to take?
I have no personal knowledge of that.
I don't know either. Do you?
I think it depends on, progress throughout this week, to be honest with you.
So right now we're allowing a little over 20 minutes for each of them. If we divided the time equally, is that reasonable?
I think that's reasonable for Mr. Vox. I mean, I think that's reasonable. Wendy, is that reasonable for your items that are on here?
Yes, sir. And with respect to the pending legal claims and the Bluffton property, I don't think that would take 40 minutes.
Okay.
I don't think it would take that much time. The Riverview, I would leave 20 minutes for the Riverview. The Bluffton property, probably about 15 minutes to 20, and the pending legal claims will probably be at 10.
So I think that's fine then, because the balance of that time could be utilized if we needed it for Mr. Vox.
All right. So William, are you okay with that, or do you want to make a motion? We vote.
No, that would be fine.
And Kathy?
okay, 4:30.
Yeah.
Based on what I just heard, I think that'll work.
Okay. So you can keep scrolling down, Robin.
Okay.
All right. So we'll have 2 sets of minutes, and then we have a lot of committee reports. Let's see, academics, ACE, Bluffton, coherent governance, finance, operations. Looks like we pretty much have everything.
Yep.
Okay. Which was probably going to be fairly lengthy.
Yeah.
Right.
Do we have, since I was not able to go to some of the committee meetings last week, do we have quite a few PEs? What kind of, I guess I need a time frame on that segment.
David's raising his hand.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I can speak to the coherent governance. We plan to bring our final product.
Okay.
So I suspect there'll be some conversation, because
Yeah.
we're going to ask the committee to tell us that we're done, so that we can move on to the standing committee. So
Okay.
I would anticipate that's going to be longer than the normal committee report, although my last committee report I thought was going to go quickly, and that didn't work out too well.
So under the, I don't know, I think it would be helpful. So under the ad hoc coherent governance bullet there, are you going to put proposed policy manual, or put it?
If that's what you.
Completion of committee's tasks. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's not really completing the manual. There's still things that the standing committee has to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah. All right. And
So
how
do you
about
want,
operations? Oh, the construction update. That will take a bit.
do you want me to put a bullet up under the coherence of completed committee's task? or discussion of completing?
Yes, ma'am. I would say presentation of task completions
Okay.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very elegant. But that's the best I can do right now.
Sounds good.
There was a couple of motions in changing the PEs under finance, so that's what they're going to bring in, some recommendations to change to some current PEs.
Okay.
Wording. So I'll have those listed because
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest, is that you list the PE.
I will. I have to go back and look at which ones had the changes.
Yeah.
And I think academic committee, we are going to, we're going to bring our scope forward. Did we? I have to look at the agenda for the academic committee again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Robin, do you have any recollection?
I
I know
don't think
we-
it. I
Go
don't
ahead.
think it's your scope yet. I think it was some other items that you all were working on.
Okay. There might be an AR or something. Yeah, I didn't write it in my calendar exactly what we were going to do. Okay.
And how about Earl with ACE?
Should be a couple of minutes. It shouldn't be that long.
Okay. All right. But that has, I would say the committee reports has the potential for being quite lengthy. But
Yes.
it's a little bit hard to judge ahead of time. All right. Next,
Operations as well.
yep. Yeah, and I see the construction update.
And there was something else too as well that Mr. Otting was supposed to bring to update the board on. I forgot what it was at the moment.
You all just asked for the construction to come, but then the next thing would come back to the committee.
No, it was something. It was more than the construction. It was two things to come before the board.
Okay, we'll go back and
There
review.
was two things.
We'll go back and review.
All right.
All right, so now we're down to the superintendent's report. Under student achievement, Dr. Rodriguez, this is the end of the second quarter. Well, it's the end of I guess you'd say the fourth quarter of this academic year. And so we're therefore due for the TSI and priority school updates.
Okay.
So could we have that on here, please?
Yes. TSI. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
TSI.
And probably it's, I mean, it does not have to be lengthy, just a summary.
Well, I was gonna say, if we're gonna get a TSI report, then I think this may need to be a 2-day meeting. Because we're already looking at a lengthy meeting coming from reports, and then Dr. Rodriguez reports.
Well, how about, William, if we finish the agenda and then we make a decision on that after we see everything on here?
Okay.
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 Another option would be, of course, Dr. Rodriguez, is we could do the student achievement. I don't think it would matter if it was done at the July 9th meeting. In terms of the TSI and priority schools. So that would be another option, but we are due for it at this point.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I guess for right now, let's put it here and then decide if we should move it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The fiscal responsibility has, of course, the standing items on there for the second meeting of the month, which is the transparency report, the 100K report, and a monthly, the board monthly budget. There's on there, we added the debt millage discussion, which is at the last board meeting, there was a request from the board to have Jim Beckert come and share his information, as well as have Ms. Crosby view as well her information. And so, so we have reached out to Mr. Beckert, haven't heard back yet. So I would like to keep it on here for now, put it on the agenda so that if he does agree, we can go ahead, you know, if it fits his schedule and he agrees, right, we would have the opportunity to have him there. And if he can't make it, then we'll know that soon enough and we can remove that item. Does that work? Okay. Then coronavirus update. I'd like to spend some time talking about the progress we're making on what reopening might look like. Okay. And then there's a clock update, which they're due to come back now this meeting for an update on the you know, their meetings, their quarterly update. So so there's that clock update there on the construction.
All right, and under board business action, I think we have several things that could be discussed. One, of course, is that the county council addressed in the letter from Stu Rodman after the respective board members and council members met would be the fiscal autonomy. I'm just going to list a few and we can maybe decide what should go on this one. Fiscal autonomy, discussion of a parliamentarian. We have self-assessment. These are some of the ones that came in at the last meeting. A grievance policy. I think our standing policy committee will address that. Self-assessment of the board. Results committee, question to reconvene. The COVID-19 students that were lost to contact, but that would be under Dr. Rodriguez, I think that would be under your report. And then Earl had requested, had mentioned that his constituents are complaining on the length of the meeting and domination of the talk time by a few members. And am I right, Earl?
Yeah, it wasn't just my constituent, it was folks in the district, all over the county.
Oh, I agree with you. I've had a number of people say the same thing to me.
Yeah, and I think we need to discuss it and come to the decision what we need to do.
Right.
All due respect, Madam Chair, I think we discussed that already.
Well, maybe there's another way to approach it. I mean, we're not supposed to get into, you know, the nuts and bolts of the meeting here, but up to this point, it's been the officers' issue, and maybe it needs to be taken off the officers and put on the board members, or timed, you know, periods, or how long each person can talk, or, and you yourself, Mr. Smith, at the last meeting said, quote, any board member at any time should be able to bring up any topic, unquote. So I think it needs to be approached in a different manner because it's clearly not working what's in place now. So which of those topics, Kathy, do you think we should include on this meeting?
Well, I think that I would ask that we add another meeting and put at the other meeting, the reopening, Dr. Rodriguez's report about COVID. I think the things that are really important right now to talk about or to get a handle on are the reopening and summer school. How, you know, I know we saw some data on that, or have some ideas of how we're going to do that, but I'm not sure I know exactly how we're going to do summer school. So I'd like that to be included under the report. And based on the committee reports. And particularly if we get into the debt millage discussion, I would say we're going to be out of time by the time we get to the coronavirus update. So my feeling is I do think at this time we do need to break this off, and if we had that separate meeting, then we could have the TSI and the priority schools and the coronavirus update, the more student achievement type discussion.
I do agree. I second that.
Okay.
And
I'm fine with that, but we have to decide. So one thing we could do is make this a 2-day meeting like we did a few months ago and just recess until, Wednesday night, as opposed to separate it into actually 2 separate meetings.
Mhm.
We know the executive session is about 90 minutes. And then Kathy, the things you just mentioned, can we have an estimate for those from someone? I don't know, Dr. R or you? Summer school, reopening of schools, COVID, TSI priority schools. What's the estimate for those 4 topics, time-wise?
Well, I think, we can provide on the TSI, ATSI schools, I'd say maybe a 30-minute discussion on that. I think I would say probably about the same on the reopening in the fall, because I want to share some of the things that we are doing to plan ahead, and then share a little bit about the feedback we're getting from personnel that as we develop it, right, in conjunction with them. And then maybe a good time for the board to also provide some feedback on what they've just recently heard, on what they hear at that meeting in terms of what their thoughts are about it.
Yeah, I think even if all that together just takes an hour or an hour and a half, I think that by moving it to the next day, it'll get better attention.
So on the next day, are we shifting the TSI, ATSI, and the reopening discussion to the next day? Those 2 items to the next day?
That
Is
would
that
be
the idea?
That would be my recommendation. I don't know how the rest of you feel about that, but.
So we said the TSI, the summer schools, and the reopening all to the next day. And you also mentioned the COVID update.
Yeah, well, that's
that's
the reopening, right?
Okay,
That's it, yeah.
But now the clock, they would be more inclined to be on Tuesday night because that's what they would have been told about a long time ago.
That's right. I think Tuesday night is good for the clock. And, last time when we had the clock update, we actually had them come early on in the agenda so that they weren't waiting around till a late hour. So if that's possible, I just want to be able to let them know what time they should plan on being available.
You know what? Well, could we have them be the first presentation in the committee reports? The clock is kind of a committee. It's not a board. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And then maybe operations could go with the construction update, or maybe that should go first, the construction update, followed by clock. That seems to make sort of chronological sense. What do you think, Dr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, that's fine. They can go right after the construction update, the operations committee, I guess.
So we're moving the clock up under committee reports and we'll move operations first and then have the clock come up right after that.
Yeah, but I just don't want people to be confused. They might think that the clock is now a board committee. It's not a board.
Yeah, you're
That
right.
is, yeah.
Correct.
Right, you're right. So then maybe they should go first. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Right.
have them outside the board committees going first.
Okay.
But then once we get to the board committees, I think that what makes sense would be operations to go next.
Okay.
Just because it's going to follow it's part of construction.
Yes,
And then the rest is you have them there.
yeah.
So I have other matters, then put the clock and then put committee reports.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right.
You good with that, William?
I'm not really, because of the fact that I mean, I understand the clock is coming, but if we do this for the clock, then we're gonna be required to do this for everyone else, you know. And I don't think that this is something that can be done continuously. I mean, because once you sign up for something, you have to understand what you're there for. So, I want to be careful how we start moving things around to carry the people who are working with the district.
What's your solution, William? What's your solution?
It's not about my solution. You made a recommendation, and that's what y'all made. And if you and Kathy are okay with that, then your officers as well. That's my solution. I gave you my opinion on what we spoke about.
So you're saying just leave them where they currently are?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I'm asking you. You say don't put them up at the top because that sets a precedent. So what is your solution?
Right.
That's what I'm asking.
My president, just leave them where they are.
Okay. So Kathy, do you want to take a vote on this?
Yeah, I really think that it's to ask somebody to hold on that long to go through all of our other meetings times is not fair to people that come to speak to us.
Mm-hmm.
I know we have done this before, and that's what you're worried about, William?
Well, I just don't want to do this and then we get into another meeting or we get right back in the swing of things, and people say, well, y'all did for the clock, or you did for the clock, so why can't you do it for me? And then we're like, well, we have a lot on the agenda, we're not willing to do it. Then someone said, well, you did it for the clock. I just don't want someone to say, well, in the past you done it for the clock, and then we start getting in the habit of continuously doing this.
Okay, I know we've done it for others before. I can't remember.
Okay. That's the thing I'm saying. So if we've done it for others before, then I have no objections. It's settled. If we've done it for others, then I guess it's just as fair as for the clock.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay.
All right. So
David.
Robin, you got that. It's going to go ahead of the committee reports.
Yes, ma'am. And David's
Okay.
hands up.
Yep, David.
Yeah, you already resolved the issue I was going to talk about. We have done that before as a courtesy to people instead of making them sit through the whole meeting. The other suggestion I would have is to get as far as you can on this agenda and then recess, and the second day is whatever else you couldn't handle in that first day, instead of trying to figure out the timings for things. Just have a second day scheduled, and whatever we don't get to on the first day, we recess and do it the second day. Instead of trying to figure out, is it going to take an hour for this and a half hour for that? We just go as far as we can. But then we'd have to establish a time, like 11 o'clock or something.
Yeah, and then we have to vote on the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was just my thought. Trying to make it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good idea because that doesn't it gives you more flexibility.
Yeah, and I don't know how long some of these are going to take. They could take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If people decide that they have some issues they want to discuss, they could really stretch out.
Mm-hmm. So how are you with that, Kathy, that we just go as far? I do think maybe we need a vote at the beginning of the meeting to say we're going to end at if we're starting at 4:30, I mean, 9 or 9:30 seems to be the time we should be recessing. But we'd have to have a vote at the beginning.
Well, that sounds reasonable. If we're able to have, you know, if we can, I guess, would we do that when we approve the agenda? Or how would we fit that vote in there?
Or even before we approve it. Or we could say we approve to approve the agenda. Go ahead.
Wait, why? Wait a minute. We are voting for. What are we voting for? What are we voting for exactly?
Well, if we don't have if we're going to split the meeting into 2 nights and have a recess as far as we can go on the first night, I think it seems that other board members have already mentioned that we probably need to have a time limit on how long we take the first night. Like, for example, if we're going to start at 4:30 and we go to midnight and then we're going to meet again the next night, that doesn't seem, you know, we haven't fixed any of our problems of long meetings. So, and the whole purpose to divide it into 2 meetings is to obviously not make it too lengthy. So it seems like there should be some time limit on the first night.
So then as officer, then I make a motion that that the board meeting then go past 10 o'clock on the first night.
No.
I don't see why we need the whole board to make that. I mean, we're already decided as officers that the meeting is going to be 2 days. Then the meeting is going to be 2 days. Then the first day we go from 4:30 afternoon until hopefully no later than 10. Because at 9 o'clock you have your public comments. At 9 and then 9:30, hopefully there's not that much. You should be wrapping it up, and then we be preparing and just segue into going to wrapping it up for the night and to be going back into the next day. So I mean that's my proposal.
So Earl, you were saying, I saw you shaking your head. What's your comment?
I do not think that we should go to a meeting at 10 o'clock at night. That does not make sense. And the public is saying the same thing. And I'm not just hearing from people in my district. I'm hearing from people all over this county. And then when the meeting goes that long, then they blame the chair. Some people in the public blame the chair, but that's not the chair problem. You know, and that's the reason why I want to discuss this. And we come up to a decision of what we need to do.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I think we're discussing another issue. Ms. Campbell discussing another issue right now. We're talking about time, the time of the meeting, and right at this particular point, I think it's up to us to even have it at 10. The end of the meeting at 10 o'clock. I don't see them. I think that's reasonable. If someone wants to end the meeting before then someone can make a motion to say, Madam Chairman, I think at this time I make a motion that we go ahead and take a recess. I see no problem with that. They get a second, and then we go to discussion what's reasonable and move from there. Other than that,
So your motion, say your motion, please.
I mean, my motion for the 10 o'clock. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Because right now, because this now I was giving you an example of if someone went in the meeting before, if we, as a committee, if we went ahead and made the agenda for 10 o'clock, that it had been the regular meeting. If someone wanted in the meeting before 10, then they could make a motion to go ahead and go to recess now. At that point in time, whatever that time of night that would be. So I'm asking you to clarify which motion are you asking for?
well, I thought you wanted to make a motion that the officers are deciding for this meeting that we'll recess at 10 p.m. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so make that as a motion, or do,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I do make that as a motion.
Okay, so do we have a second? I'm going to amend your motion.
That's,
Oh, no, you go ahead, Kathy, because then I don't have to pass the gavel.
yeah, I was going to amend it to right after public comments. That
Actually, it didn't. My motion didn't get a second, so.
Okay,
my
so we'll
motion didn't get a second.
scrap your motion. Kathy, go ahead.
Okay. So I move that we, for this meeting only, that the officers set a time limit to recess, since it's a 2-day meeting, that we will recess at the completion of public comments, the second public comments after 9 o'clock, and that we would continue with whatever's left on the agenda the following evening.
Do you want to second that or no, Will?
Sure, I'll second it for discussion.
Okay. I think that's exactly what I was thinking, is just to have this meeting recess at the end of the second public comments, which are going to start no later than 9. And that's going to already be a minimum of 4.5 hours. And I can tell you, as presiding over the meeting, that is a long time to try to pay attention to what everybody's saying and directing traffic and so on and so forth. So I think that's very reasonable, especially given the fact we're going to come back and reconvene the next night. I support your motion, Kathy.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Abstention?
Actually, my thoughts are, when we go to my thoughts is that when we go to public comments, we could be in the middle of discussing something. And what if we go to public comments and we are in the middle of discussing something, and then we do public comments and we're not finished with whatever we're discussing. So I asked myself, then do we go ahead and finish it up after public comments, or are we just done with it period after public comments? Because as the casting motion stands, we're just done with it. So we have someone showing us something or finishing up a slide, then that just comes back the next day.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't mind.
So usually, William, I try to make it so we are not left hanging on a particular topic before the public comments commence at 9. So I try to do that. Now, it may not be possible, and if we haven't finished this discussion, then we come back the next evening continuing that discussion. I'm afraid if you say we're going to finish that discussion, whatever topic it may be, it could go on for another hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, I think it just, we'll take a break there and continue that whatever we're on the next night.
Okay.
And I have a suggestion, maybe, William, looking at our agenda. If we make it down to fiscal responsibility, maybe we would move the debt millage discussion to the top of that list, because that would be the only thing that would involve bringing someone else back. If that was your concern, you know, I hear what you're saying, right?
Right.
Because, you know, if Mr. Becker comes, if we had that discussion first, I don't know, that was just what popped into my mind, because I hear what you're saying, then he'd have to come back the next day.
Right. So, I guess if we can go ahead and call for the vote.
Okay, I
you
thought we already
vote?
voted, but you didn't vote, but I'll vote again. So Kathy's motion is to recess the meeting, the first day of the meeting, after public comments, which would commence no later than 9 p.m.
Right.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
motion carries unanimously. So now we still haven't decided what we're going to have under board business action.
Yes,
Okay.
I think that we should have, what Mr. Campbell wants on there, if it's meeting length, or if you want to talk about it, parliamentarian.
Actually, did we talk about would you read that list over again? You talked about the county. Did we have the county on there, Madam Chairman? Could you read that list over the things that you have?
Oh, so these are outstanding, outstanding topics. Fiscal autonomy, discussion of parliamentarian, discussion of meeting length.
I think physical autonomy I think physical autonomy is important as well.
Then we had grievance policy, but I think that's going to be covered by our standing policy committee. Self-assessment of the board, that's going to either be, maybe David could speak to this. I would think that would also be something that has your committee already, is your committee coming with a recommendation to the board?
I know that is already in our policies.
Yeah, exactly.
The actual tool will take some discussion, but it might be premature to discuss that right now. I would suggest that we get through the policies first and then develop a tool. And that might even be an ad hoc committee that would develop that tool. That would be my suggestion.
And that's kind of the way I feel about the results committee, possibly whether they should reconvene, whether we should, this is an exception with this COVID-19 about having test scores. I mean, it's kind of beyond our control.
Well, yeah, there's a couple of folds to that.
Yeah.
The old results committee came up with a tool before we knew what coherent governance was about. So it's not COVID is one of the issues, but the other issue is coming up with a tool that aligns with coherent governance, which is focused on results and operational expectations.
And I thought there was a question about. Also, I thought there was a question too about the evaluation for the superintendent. I thought it was a question. I thought we were asked to revisit that as well.
That's what we were just talking about, the results.
Yeah. Okay. And David, you said you don't think that right now is the time?
I'm sorry.
You said you don't think that right now is the time?
I don't think we need to do it right now, but The evaluation tool has to be developed before the end of October. The superintendent's evaluation tool.
Right. Well, maybe
the one for next year has already been agreed to, and the budget's already been developed. So you can't really alter next year's. So that, the committee would be working on the evaluation for 21-22. But that has to be done by October. So I'll leave it up to y'all when to appoint that committee.
Well, I was going to say maybe I think this may need to be a full board discussion so that we all can have a clear understanding of where we're at on this. So I think this is more important along the lines of what we're supposed to, what the board's responsibilities. So especially up under this new process that we're taking. So I think that should be I think that should be on the agenda. I think that should be one of the topics. So just so we can discuss that, because really we should really get into the depths of discussing that in this meeting, because this is just the agenda setting.
So we have two, but in my mind, even despite splitting into two meetings, we have too many things. So what are the priorities of Kathy and William with those? So the results is one issue, parliamentarian, fiscal autonomy, meeting length.
I don't think the meeting length is not an emergency at this point in time right now. I don't see the meeting length as being an emergency. When it comes to our job, I think the fiscal autonomy, the results are important, and it was something else. I got a lot going through my head as we're discussing it. Something Kathy just threw out there as well.
The parliamentarian?
No, not the parliamentarian. That to be asked me right now, that's not. I mean, I'm more worried about getting the actual things done, and I'm more worried about getting stuff done within the. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Go ahead, Kathy. Go ahead.
The results committee. I think that a committee's got to be made to develop
right. I don't care about
a new instrument. However, until the policies have been approved, I don't know that they can do their work.
Right, but I think this is something that this needs to be a full board discussion. And say what you said to me. Yeah, I think that we need to align this and get the full board to understand this all at one time versus us, discussing that you telling me and other people. Hey, I think this is something that we discuss publicly to get the understanding of it.
Well, and that's why I'm saying it could wait until the July 9th meeting, but it's all right.
I think that we should go ahead and get that out the way, and because there's some other stuff that. Well, yeah. I mean, I just said some of those other things could possibly wait. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Okay, my opinion is I really think the results it's premature. So my recommendation would be to have that in July, and I would cover the other things. And I'm not even sure all three things wouldn't be too much. I mean, the meeting length, parliamentarian, fiscal autonomy. The fiscal autonomy is going to be, I think, a fairly big discussion.
So then maybe we want to just take that on.
Yeah, I think fiscal autonomy is going to be a big discussion. So we may want to put it on an agenda where it can have more time. Or
actually we can just discuss the fiscal autonomy and close out on the agenda.
What did you say, William?
I said, or we can just add the physical autonomy and that'd be the last thing that we add to the agenda.
So have that as the only item under board business action?
I mean, if it's going to be a large, if it's going to be a large, if it's going to be that large of a conversation, then yeah.
And it
yes,
may well,
that's how I would be.
okay,
Right.
it may well be on Wednesday night anyways. I think that would be likely that it wouldn't be on Tuesday night.
Right.
Right.
I would also, I really think the meeting length is a problem. I gather, William, you don't see it as a problem, but I think the community definitely sees it as a problem.
Well, in that case, then I think we should take upon the grievance issue as well. That night and not wait for David's committee to bring that up. I think that if that was actually be on the agenda, then I think that should be on the agenda as well.
Well, the board already assigned the grievance policy. It dictated the policy.
Go hand in hand.
Huh?
Right.
It dictated to the policy committee that the standing policy committee would do 3 things, and that was one of them.
And that was on February 29th is when that motion occurred for the grievance policy to go to the standing committee. It was at the end of that meeting.
Right, but I think that those two pretty much are in the same. I think those two are in the same field of dealing with each other. So, I mean, to the degree of dealing with that, I don't see that's something that we need to tackle. I think we have more important items to tackle right now than that right now. I think that the board is functioning and is focused on things that we need to be focusing on. But I don't think that if we're gonna focus on one, then we need to focus on both of them. That's my opinion. Because both of, technically speaking, both of those should be. If you're gonna bring one, bring both of those forward.
So do either of you want to make a motion about what we're going to put under board business action? I'm still not clear.
I thought I just said that we could do the we could just do the I don't have it in front of me.
The fiscal autonomy.
The physical autonomy. I make a motion that we do the physical autonomy and be done. And anything else will go over to the next meeting. That's my motion.
Okay, so you want to add just the fiscal autonomy?
Yep, I just want to add just the physical autonomy.
Do we have a second?
I don't know.
Nope. All right. Someone else gonna make a motion?
Do you want to make a different motion, Kathy?
Well, I know that we need to talk about fiscal autonomy, but I think it's such a big topic. I don't even know if we'd be ready for board business action on it. After discussing, I don't know. That's my concern. I see, parliamentarian and length of meeting as something that are quick, perhaps quick discussions, but that's my concern.
So why don't you make a motion?
I'm debating with how I feel here. I move that we add selection of parliament or discussion of parliamentarian and discussion of meeting length to this agenda.
Do we have a second? Okay, I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
So my discussion is, I think that these two things will, could impact the quality of our meetings, how we conduct our meetings. And I think that fiscal autonomy is an important discussion that we need to have. But I think that we need a lot of information before we can have that discussion. And that's what it would be, I guess, presenting the information. So I see that is something more long-term versus meeting length, and parliamentarian is short-term for long-term benefit, if that makes any sense.
William?
I have no comments.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of adding the discussion of the parliamentarian and meeting length to the board business action items on this meeting that we're setting the agenda for, say aye.
I think I might need to do that because you seconded the motion, correct?
I'm sorry?
I said I might need to call for the vote since you seconded the motion, correct?
Sure, that's fine. You call for the
yeah, so I go ahead and call. We can go ahead and call for the vote. Everyone who's in favor of the vote.
aye.
Oppose? Abstention? Aye.
Okay.
So I guess it's 2-1.
Yeah.
2-0. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so I think now we're finished with this meeting, correct? Gentlemen and ladies?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Just to let you know, the next meeting in July is July 14th. That's
Okay.
only one meeting scheduled in July. And
Okay.
so it's July 14th.
Okay.
So now
All right.
we need to set the agenda for tomorrow night, right?
No, it's already been set
Oh,
and
good.
published.
Yay, okay.
It's just bond interviews, so that has already been
Oh,
published.
yeah, you already told me that earlier today. I've had a lot on my mind. Okay,
That's
thank
all
you.
right. Just so that I'm clear, this meeting is going to be June 23rd and 24th. We are going to start at 4:30 for executive session. We are going to move the superintendent's report, other matters, above committee report so that we can do the clock. And then we'll adjust the committees. Are we putting on this agenda? We just put everything on this agenda and go as far, like the
ATSI and the TSI, and then the reopening. I thought we moved to day 2.
But
Yeah, we did.
am I separating them out or going as far as we go and we just adjourn at 9:30? So all of this would be up under one agenda.
That, what you just said, Robin, is the way I understood it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's where we landed.
Okay.
So do we need to indicate that on the agenda, that the, somehow that we will
That the meeting will
recess?
recess after the second public comments.
Yeah,
So I'll put that in the instructions. The meeting
Yeah.
will recess after the second public comments.
but Dr. Rodriguez, no doubt in my mind, those things will be on the second, will be on the Wednesday.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
All right, do we have any further discussion about the draft agenda? All right, we need to now set the date and time, right, of our next meeting.
Yeah,
And you said it's going to be
the
July
meeting's
4th.
on the 14th.
On the 14th, so if we want to schedule July 6th, which would be the Monday, which would be our standard.
That's good with me.
It works for me. William, does it work for you?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It works for me as well.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock like we
You
did
said
today?
You said the 5th, right?
The 6th.
The 6th. The 5th is a Sunday.
Oh, the 6th. Okay.
Okay, July 6th at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, yeah. Oh, I just thought of one other thing too. And that is, I really think we need to decide about meeting in person, because the South Carolina, the General Assembly, they're going back to meeting next week, correct, Robin?
They have already been meeting in person.
Yeah. And so that's another topic.
Well, also, why we can't do it at the next one.
So do it at the July 14th.
July.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. Can you add that to your list, Robin?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. All right, if there's no further.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn by Will. A second?
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you and good evening.